Apple apparently naming a new AI chief. Giannandrea is how you pronounce his last name. I learned that this morning. I know I had heard it before, but I didn't know that it was the name that I was looking at. So Giannandrea has been leading Apple AI for a while now, and apparently next spring has plans to retire. Until then, shifting to an advisory role. And former Microsoft corporate VP for AI and longtime Google Gemini engineering leader. So someone with a pretty solid kind of background in AI for, successful AI companies or companies doing AI. Amar Subramanya is going to step in as VP of AI at Apple to replace him.
So big. I mean, Apple has been the also-ran. Absolutely, when it comes to AI. We've talked about it many times.
Steps behind. Yeah.
They've pulled back. They haven't had a strategy. Siri has been a laughingstock for years now. So who knows what this means?
Well, that's it, right? Like it could just be like coincidental timing, right? Like we talked about this on the Daily Tech News show this morning, and Tom Merritt, mentioned like, he's not young. He's of retirement age. Maybe he just decided like, hey, you know what? It's time for me to retire. And it so happens to coincide with this. I would imagine that it's probably a little bit of that, a little bit of this.
Well, Cook took Siri away from him in March.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already
kind of retracted.
Shame.
Yeah.
Right. That's
a
difficult
really
when
important
that
point. I think that's true. Yeah. That is
so he didn't solve the Siri problem seriously. Yeah. And and then the larger AI strategy, if you couldn't figure out how to get that in Siri at some level. Now, with a Microsoft Google guy going in, does this mean that they reinvent things entirely, or does this become a way to perhaps integrate those competitors into Apple? I think that's still to be seen.
That's a great question. We have definitely talked about on this show that Apple has been reportedly investigating looking into using Gemini for Siri sometime next year. So actually integrating Gemini AI into its Siri product, into its Apple Intelligence. If that's the case, then Subramanya, who's coming in, who has a long history at Google and much of that, working and leading AI at Gemini, could be a really useful person in that role. That could be really good for it. But what does that mean for Apple's strategy, which is, I think, your question, right? Do they continue to lean into we do partnerships because we don't have our own AI the way Google and these other companies do, Amazon, whatever? Or do we do the partnership thing, or do we use this knowledge to create our own so that we aren't reliant on someone else's technology, or both? Do one until the other is feasible. And he could be very useful for that. But coming at a time when Apple has definitely had made some missteps, let's say, as far as
and if Johnny Ive actually comes up with something at OpenAI, that's another challenge to Apple. So I think Apple's got to decide where's it going to put its brain power.
That's true. How far are we from Apple reinventing the AI hardware space and coming out with another product, this time a dedicated AI piece of hardware? I think we're pretty far away from that.
Yeah, I think so too. But you can bet they're just dying for it.
Because Apple is always... Totally, because Apple is continually looking for what is our next iPhone? What is our next iPod?
What is the thing that people haven't thought of on their own?
Yes.
Right?
And it wasn't Apple Vision Pro.
No.
It wasn't Apple Vision Pro.
No, I agree.
And AI is such a big deal right now. You have to imagine Apple wants to have a play there. So that's happening.